When did you first hear the news of his capture?
It was around 12:25, I think, or 12:35. On Thursday, I was at the clinic in the Manor Hospital, and there was this big screen TV, so I looked up and I saw his face. I just couldn't believe my eyes.
And had there been rumours in the hours before, or was this the first that you had heard of it?
Well, for me, I was in the clinic, so I didn't hear a thing before it. There was actually, it wasn't the picture, apology, there was a headline there written that he might have been captured or killed, and then the face came. So, but I'm not sure if it was anything before it. I think it was around that time where everybody heard.
Okay, and because for the first couple of hours on that afternoon, on Thursday afternoon, certainly around lunchtime, it was a lot of unconfirmed reports and a lot of question marks over it. Had you had concerns?
Oh, no. For me, it was easy because I just rang straight away, and a friend of mine told me, yes, he's dead, and he saw him. So fine, I knew it was true.
You knew it was true then?
Yeah, straight away. There wasn't any doubt about it.
Your initial reaction when you heard then?
I stood there watching the screen, and people around me turned and said, "What's going on?" And that's so obviously my face showed something I didn't know about. But I thought it could be. I thought it is true because this is the first time Gaddafi himself has been declared dead or captured. It's always been his sons, and then it turns to be a lie, but never him. So I had a gut feeling that it was right. It wasn't a lie, because it would be really, really disappointing for everybody if something like that comes in the news and then turns to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of debate regarding whether or not he should have been killed, and some say that he should have been entitled to a trial. There are people who would view it as he was entitled to a fair trial, while others would feel maybe make him suffer a bit longer. Would you have preferred that if he had been given a trial?
No, I wouldn't, to be honest. It would have prolonged our agony. And this brought us a closure to this. And it is a therapeutic thing for all Libyans. We have suffered so much under his rule, and people who say anything other than this haven't suffered from him, haven't been hurt by him. And I tell them, try a bit of that to see what we feel. And in fairness, I looked at there was a headline in a newspaper, English newspaper. They had his face, the ugly picture that came first. And 3 paragraphs, that was the front page. This is for Lockerbie victims. This is for Yvonne Fletcher. This is for Semtex IRA victims. Mm-hmm. That speaks volumes, because that's a drop in a sea in what we feel. And if you multiply that by 6 million, by every second of our lives, you know how we feel about it.
Has there been debate in Libya? Because obviously you would be in touch with fellow Libyans and people living in the country still. Has there been that debate that there should have been a trial?
Some did say that, but most of people didn't want any of this, because the trial, it will just prolong our pain. He will be in a 5-star prison, which he has not given the chance for any Libyan to have that. And on top of this, he'll be treated quite well by international community. None of the Libyans who suffered under his rule had any of that. And on top of this, what will it give us? The information of what he's done. He has a lot of ADs. We can try those guys, and they will tell us all his atrocities, all the crimes he's done. We won't gain anything from that, except that it was gonna drag. And for us, we don't want it to be over, and we want to move forward. And I think this is a very therapeutic thing for all Libyans.
What's your view of the extensive pictures that we've seen and the video footage? A lot of people around when Gaddafi was captured had taken images on their mobile phones and had taken videos. More and more videos emerged over the weekend with clearer pictures of his capture and then his death. His photograph has been reproduced in every newspaper around the world, it seems, and on every news channel. Did you think it was appropriate to have such graphic pictures?
Well, they are ugly graphic pictures, and they shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have happened. But when you look at he's a tyrant, and he's done so much to people. We are humans. Those who took those pictures have suffered under his rule, have really lost a lot of them. In fact, those particular ones, who are parading now and checking, going and seeing him, their wives, their daughters have been raped. I wouldn't say everybody, but they've seen even their relatives. They were stripped naked and run in the streets naked. This happened during this period. They lost their brothers, their sons, their fathers. So you can imagine the amount of pain they had. I don't approve of it, but when you look at these are humans, and it would happen. And this is a revolution. He killed so many of Libyans. We think it's not less than 30,000 the least, and leave alone the injured and the handicapped for life. So they wouldn't really give him a hug and a kiss on the front and say, "Oh, we forgive you." It wouldn't be expected. This is just human nature.
I mentioned there at the start the liberation of Libya. There was a major ceremony in Benghazi yesterday, and an official who opened the ceremony said, "We declare to the whole world that we have liberated our beloved country with its cities, villages, hilltops, mountains, deserts and skies." And as we say, thousands of people gathered in Benghazi yesterday for this celebration. Are you confident for the future of Libya with the National Transitional Council now?
See, I am confident. But I am confident with, the National Transitional Council, as the name implies, the state transition is not going to last. But the confidence is because of you see, let me just give you this, and you can see what I mean. When I visited Benghazi 3 weeks ago, there were a lot of young people around me, and they really looked so happy that this is happening. And they were asking at some stage, do you think we're going to make it? And when I looked around me, it was all ruins, all disaster, really. Everything was needed to be redone. But when I looked at their faces, they had a glow on their faces that has never been seen in any Libyan face before this. And I thought, my only guarantee, or the only guarantee for us, is these guys. They are the ones who are going to rebuild Libya, and I have no doubt about it. It will be rebuilt, and it will be one of the front countries in the world, and we have all the capacity, we have the people, we have the money. There is nothing that will stand in front of these guys and prevent them from going forward. And it's going to be, you'll see it in a few years how it's going to be. Thank you.
The Gaddafi supporters, what happens them now?
There are supporters, but they are not the majority. They are actually a minority, I'd say. They will have their rights as Libyan citizens. Nobody will deny them their rights. They remain citizens. I don't expect anybody to wrong them, except, I wouldn't even say wrong them, but if they have done any crimes, they will stand before court. Otherwise, they're going to be treated like any citizen. And in fact, there are families now who are displaced from their towns because of their sons being involved in Gaddafi's war against the Libyans. And a lot of people are trying to help them and get them shelter and all that. They're still Libyans. Nobody will deny them their rights.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
I see now that the post-mortem has confirmed that Gaddafi was shot in the head, so that has been confirmed. Of course, Gaddafi's wife is calling for the UN to fully investigate his death. What has been the reaction to Gaddafi's family? Where will they go, do you think, now?
Well, let me first speak about the shot in the head. To me, that's the mercy bullet. If he was let to be reached by the Libyans, they would have cut him in pieces. So to me, really, that was a mercy bullet for the man. But for his family, I'm not sure where they're going to go and which country will accept them, because all of them have done a lot in the country, a lot of wrongdoing in the country. So wherever they go, they're still going to have to stand trial. I don't expect a country will jeopardize its relations with the world and with Libya just for a bunch of criminals, let me put it this way, because they are criminals.
And Gaddafi's burial hasn't taken place yet, has it?
Hasn't, and there's a talk about whether he should be buried or not. They're thinking of burying him in an undisclosed location, so his place wouldn't turn into a shrine to some of his followers. We don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. It is a hard subject, because in Islam people should be buried, but there are people who say he's not even Muslim. So this religious issue I don't really care about, to be honest, but I think it's not even the right thing it's not the right argument. But I believe he will be buried. We don't do cremation, and it would be an insult to anybody, and people won't approve of it. Throwing him in the sea like Bin Laden, I'm not sure about it. So I'd say he would be buried, but nobody will know where he's buried. It will be kept secret. Mind you, a lot of Libyans who disappeared under his rule and who've been killed under his rule, nobody knows where they are buried or their whereabouts. So there are thousands and thousands of people who disappeared. And his family, if they're asking for his burial and treatment, should come forward and say, where are these guys? Some of them are people we don't even know if they're dead or alive.
You mentioned there about Lockerbie, and I think that was the Sun newspaper which had the headline about this is for IRA victims and this is for Lockerbie and all of that. The man who was involved in Lockerbie, McGrahy I think was his name, he was released on compassionate grounds, and everyone was told at the time that he was shortly to die. I understand he's still alive.
He is still alive, yeah, and I think the latest pictures really showed he was emaciated and he was really suffering. These were real pictures. Before that, he looked fine, to be honest. But in prostatic cancer prediction of deaths is very hard to find. Some people live years and years with prostatic cancer. I think that was all really invented. It wasn't a right prediction at all.
You do believe he was genuinely sick?
Now he is genuinely sick, not at that time.
Okay.
When he was released, he wasn't.
Okay.
It was a deal.
Yes.
And SAFE came forward and actually put it all clear to everybody, which was an embarrassment to all who were involved in that. He said the only paper that was on the table was McGrahy in any dealings we've done, and it was a constant paper. So it was at that time. Things didn't go very right. We weren't happy with his release. We really were so angry at this deal that was made for petrol and release this man without bringing forward the truth that should have been brought in. This wasn't the only crime. We lost 1,200 shots in 3 hours in cold blood in a prison. We had a plane that was brought down and nobody investigated. We have children with HIV, have been injected with HIV, and till today we don't know who's the culprit. We know Gaddafi's behind all that, but who has helped in that? And more, there are people who disappeared. We don't know where they are. Plenty of things. People who died in jail, we don't know even why they entered jail for years and years. So lots of things will come out, and what you heard from the Sun newspaper is only one thing. Well, I wouldn't say one thing. There are three incidents from universal incidents. He has a hand in a lot of terrorist acts all over the world.
Okay, well, there is a long road ahead, of course, for Libya to finally be set free and for the process of democracy to begin. Can I ask you finally, because you're chairwoman of the Irish Libyan Emergency Aid Group, what happens now for your organisation? What do you plan to do now that Gaddafi has been captured and killed, and as we say, that it's a new era for Libya? How do you see your group continuing?
Well, our group is going to help other causes in the world. We've been contacted by the Interim Council of Syria to do some help and send medical aid. We're still working on that. We're also being contacted by certain hospitals to help them in Libya to start renovating them, bringing them up to a good standard. But that's going to be funded by Libyan authorities and by the hospital's budget itself. We're trying to help Somalia. We've already sent some clothes and this, but we want to send food. But there is another appointment that I've got recently, which I am now the head of the health office, Libyan health office in Ireland, and I'm working on bringing injured people to Ireland. That's nothing to do with the Irish Libyan Emergency Aid, but it's, to me, a priority at the moment.
Sorry, just explain that. I don't understand that, Fatima. So this is the Libyan Health Office in Ireland? Yeah.
We don't have an embassy here. So if there was an embassy, I would have been the health attaché in the embassy. But this is an entity that's a standalone entity. I represent only the health care for Libyans here, and there are talks between me and the Irish government and hospitals, private hospitals, to bring injured Libyans from the war to Ireland. We're at the late stages now. I think we're going to bring people within a week or two, and that's going to be the first batch. They will be treated in private hospitals with Libyan, we'll pay for it all by Libyan frozen assets that will be released for this humanitarian cause.
Right. So injured Libyans who have been injured through conflict and through the war will be brought to Ireland for medical treatment,
yes.
And that'll be paid by the NTC, will it?
It will be paid by the frozen assets that are released for this particular cause by the decision of the United Nations. Ireland is not the only country. Britain has already received around 50 at the moment, and they are getting more. Spain is another country. Germany, Greece has received some. I don't remember the number. And then we have France and Italy, Jordan, Turkey, and I don't remember another country. But
Okay. Well,
yeah.
that's an interesting development. Thank you very much for taking our call. Thank you for giving us your views on it. And I know that you've been in touch a lot with homes. So we really do appreciate that, Fatima.